Well, grab your smocks, grab your reversible jerseys, grab all of that stuff that you used to practice in when you had to just throw guys together and form a 5-man, or in this case, a 8-9-man roster to field an NBA team to be eligible to play that actual game. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers Pregame Show. You get a jersey, you get a jersey, you get a jersey, and you get a jersey. It's all presented by Bet365. Rich Hoffman, Devon Givens, Bree here. The fellas are at the arena for this magical Friday night against the Indiana Pacers. And the Sixers and Pacers will play a basketball game, but it will look so much different than what we've seen all season long. Rich, before we get started, we want to let everybody know that the $36, the final day for the $36 push for the free agent frenzy, diehard sign up, the limited time intro offer.
A couple hours left.
First year, $36. Jump on in, get involved, become a diehard member, get a free t-shirt. When you get the free t-shirt, get the PHLY Sixers t-shirt when you sign up because we sent you. Of course, you can get the other ones too, but get that t-shirt and you're basically getting, you get the one Rich has on right now. You're basically getting the t-shirt and you get some great written content from the Sixers, Flyers, Phillies, Eagles, Rich's newsletter. It's all available to you. $36, a few hours left. Sign up, become a diehard member, and take advantage of this great, great offer. Become a member of our community. Speaking of community, anybody in the stands, show your resume, and you can play tonight in an NBA game. You know how many times they've asked me to come out and play for the tryouts for the Bluecoats, and I've gone out there and I've played in the tryouts for the Bluecoats, but a bunch of times, yeah.
Oh, how is it?
Oh, it's fun. It's a great time. They have different courts for different levels. So when you see,
so they have like a media level, kind of like somebody who's there to, you know, just soak up the scene. Not to say that you aren't good.
That's the thing, sort of, because they actually put me on the court underneath the ones that are the invited guys that have agents that have them come in. So I've been playing against, I was playing against some good guys, and I appreciated them putting me on the court with those good guys because when I see, no disrespect to everybody else, when I see the other courts, the two other courts, the lower level, I'm like, yeah, I don't probably belong over on that one. And so when I came back from my ACL, the last time I did it, not this past year, the year before I tore my Achilles, I did it. And they had me on that court because they knew I was still kind of coming back from my ACL. I wasn't all that comfortable. But I guess I did enough where they were like, all right, after like 2 games, you come over here. It's like, okay, cool.
They didn't want to push you too hard, and you were good.
And then I was fine. So then they put me back over on the court. So to that point, that's what we're getting tonight. And that's why it says open tryouts for tonight's game against the Indiana Pacers on our thumbnail. Rich, if there was ever a next man up, next man up.
Yes. So I'm going to read this tweet from our guy, Kyle Neubeck.
Yes.
Tonight's available Sixers players. There are 8 of them.
Yes.
Which I believe is the limit.
That's the league minimum.
I think you're not allowed to have any fewer than that. They made Mike Scott suit up the one time in the COVID game, even though he was like clearly hurt. He wasn't.
Is that the Tyrese 39 points?
Yes, it
or
was.
40 points,
yes,
whatever, against Denver?
39 against Denver.
What was the guy's name? The white kid, the shooter?
Dakota
Mathias. Yeah. Bring him back. Bring him back.
Dakota Mathias.
Bring him back.
He and Isaiah Joe, besides Tyrese, were getting every single shot.
Every shot they won.
So he plays for the Indiana Mad Ants right now.
Good for him.
Dakota Mathias.
Should have brought him back instead of Oshae Brissett, who we'll get to shortly.
Great memory from you. You know, it's funny. The second you said it, I knew who it was.
I knew it was Dakota something, but yeah.
Man, I forgot about that. Okay. So tonight's available Sixers players, there are 8 of them.
All right.
Gershon Yabusele.
All right. Normal.
Adam Bona.
Normal.
Ricky Council.
Normal.
But
fringe normal.
But like, you know, he's going to move up a few spots in the rotation. Thank you, Bree, for that. We have it on the screen for everybody. Jared Butler. Going to be a lot of shots for Jared Butler tonight. You mentioned the 39 points for Tyrese. I could see a Jared Butler
squeezing him off
40 piece on like 40 shots.
He's going to fight Ricky for some shots tonight.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Alex Reese.
Oh, fire him up, Alex. Use minivan.
Jeff Dowtin also going to take a lot of shots.
You know he is.
In tonight's game. Oshae Brissett, who the Sixers signed to a 10-day contract through the hardship exception. Oshae Brissett is the Brett Brown Memorial. Shake your hand, throw you in the game, put a jersey on you. Nice to meet you. You're playing 35 minutes tonight.
Stand in the corner, set some screens, and you're good. Crash the glass. Don't foul out.
And then Jalen Hood-Schifino, who has been...
Who we've been asking for.
Yeah, mostly been in the G League.
Yeah, didn't he have like a 33-point game the other day?
So far, well, we're going to see. Maybe he has a 33-point game tonight. Because here's the thing, Devon. As rough as that lineup is, the Sixers, the way the NBA basketball works, they're going to get to 90 or 100 somehow, right? So somebody has to score those points. Yeah, I don't know how exactly they're going to do it looking at that group tonight. It's funny, man. Don't you think like the way this shaped up, like of course, you know, you have a concussion, you have a Justin Edwards with the ankle, you have like a bunch of different injuries pop up, Quentin Grimes with an illness. But it is funny how this has popped up where the game to throw the lineup out, this lineup out, was the other night. You're playing an Indiana team that's good, mostly healthy.
Yeah.
They're going to beat you regardless. Even if you have your full strength, big three-list lineup out there. But tonight is the night that they throw just the Delaware Blue Coats / Oshae Brissett coming off the plane. It's weird how they are scheduling this. It's funny. Dunny says they are definitely catching a fine after this one. You know,
but they got the hardship though. They got the hardship.
Well, to that point, I have been more reacquainted with the player participation policy.
Okay.
And for the player participation policy, Devon, you know, a lot of these tanking teams can get away without getting fined. And the big reason is they're shutting down guys who are not all-stars. The key is you really have had to make an all-star team.
Mm-hmm.
I am very curious what's going to happen with the Sixers if they continue to sit out Tyrese Maxey and Paul George, which is what we asked for, by the way, too. So I'm not blaming the Sixers, but you saw the other night, Lauri Markkanen was the guy that got the Jazz the $100,000 fine. And by the way, $100,000 fine, that's nothing. But those fines can escalate. They can become a little bit more money. I would also say to Josh Harris, that's what you duck the luxury tax for. Keep paying those or whatever. But when you are sitting down guys in PG and Tyrese too, like Tyrese's hand was busted. Like, I don't want to say that he's not sitting out for a good reason. His hand was completely busted. He couldn't shoot the basketball straight. And PG is also dealing with real stuff. I do wonder if the NBA is going to look at them a little bit more than some other teams, just from the fact that those two guys do have all-stars under their belts. So
they do.
We'll see.
They do. But two injuries that have been on the injury report.
I think they're real injuries.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the NBA is like looking into this stuff.
And the thing is, because I know a lot of people were talking about this the other day, well, why aren't they looking at the Utah Jazz? Well, with the Jazz, with what they're doing, all-star Lauri Markkanen, we already know who Jordan Clarkson is. Walker Kessler had like a 25-rebound game. He was out the next game.
Walker Kessler's been sitting for he's had like 3 just rest with DNPs.
Exactly.
And Walker Kessler really helps them, but he's not an all-star.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So I think the Sixers could be on the wrong.
6 man in the year and Jordan Clarkson.
Sure.
Sitting there and
not an all-star.
Not an all-star. Fair enough. But listen, to your point, to the point by the chatter in there, and we appreciate it.
By the way, guys, I agree with you. I think the stars are actually hurt. I'm just wondering because
if the
you're
league
seeing that the all-stars are the ones that they only care about.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I do wonder if the Sixers might be under the microscope a little bit for that reason. I will complain with you.
I don't disagree.
If that happens. I'm just saying be on the lookout for this because they really do target just the all-stars.
But guess what? Pay the $5.
Pay it.
Pay the $5 because
baby.
In the end, it's worth it.
Yeah.
In the end, it is worth it. You saw what happened with the Jazz. They just got fined for Lauri Markkanen and not being transparent about things with his injury, even though he's been out for a while. So he's been out. They've said whatever it is that with his injury, he's out. Just let it be what it is, and he's got enough money. The owner, he can handle that. No problem there. By the way, Aaron says more like next man down than next man up for this basketball team because my goodness. But look, folks, this is what we've asked for. There are 17 games remaining for the Philadelphia 76ers, and this is what we've gotten now. We've gotten exactly what we asked for. This is what we asked for, and Daryl Morey and the Philadelphia 76ers have decided that this is the route that they're going. Now, look, the NBA is not going to come to us to look for any research to find out if they need to investigate the 76ers.
No.
A lot of teams are doing it. A lot of shows out there talking about their respective teams in their respective cities. We're doing it here talking about the Sixers, and what we wanted to do doesn't mean that the Sixers wanted to do it, but it appears that that's exactly what they're doing, and that's exactly what you're going to get for these final 17, at least for right now, because, man, there were a lot of questionable guys. Kelly Oubre, Quentin Grimes, Justin Edwards on that injury report earlier today that are now officially out for this evening.
And by the way, those also, for the most part, look like legit injuries, right? Right. Oubre with the right knee sprain. Grimes with the illness.
Walker with the concussion.
Lonnie got the concussion, right? Kyle Lowry's still not back in. I'm sure they'd be happy to play him. I don't think that's going to be a big issue at this point. And it's like I told you earlier, they're doing this the wrong way. The other night would have been the game
100%.
to do this. Now, as Kyle and Derek talked about the other night, you had the night off.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what a clutch performance the other night.
Yes, big time.
Against that lineup, Toronto threw out.
Shout out Roden. Shout out AJ Lawson. Shout those guys out.
The Sixers defense, you really cannot underestimate how bad it can be because Colin Castleton, they're just, as Derek said, that felt like a made up name the other night. And yet the Sixers still.
That is definitely an NBA 2K. Let's put together, Rich, let's put this team together and let's throw some weird names in there. Let's get crazy. That's one of them.
Yeah, for sure. So, look, the Sixers are in a decent spot, but tonight they just have a very kind of barren lineup, and I think this one could be pretty rough. I think that's one you just hope that they can get it to the finish line like a 15 to 20 point loss. Maybe Indiana takes their foot off the gas in second quarter maybe or something like that. But that's not a lot. And then there also was the news recently too about Paul George.
Let's get to that,
Shams.
Yeah, let's get to the Paul George news, if you will, because go for it.
Yeah,
you run it. Yeah,
the Paul George. Yeah, it seems like the Sixers are getting pretty close to shutting down Paul George, as Kyle has said. That seems like that's the next logical step. We've talked about that as well. I'm sure. By the way, people might ask, why are they dragging their feet? I think it's a little bit because of this player participation policy, right? They're trying to make sure everything is squared away with the league. All right, we don't get fined. Like, he has legit injuries. And it says that he's still consulting with doctors this week on treatment options for his groin and knee injuries. Again, PG has real injuries. He is banged up. And could he play through it if it was a playoff series? Yes, probably. But again, this is not a playoff series right now. I think there's a good chance that is the last we have seen of Paul George. And if that's the case, good. Mm-hmm. Get him rested up.
And look, to the point of you making the league not checking him out and then finally deciding to potentially shut him down, you see the report there from Shams. We asked for this a little while ago, so they may have been able to skirt it a little bit had they done this sooner and shutting him down not too far from behind Embiid. And then, unfortunately for Tyrese Maxey, his injury then occurred. But Paul George is real stuff. It's the finger that we know he tore his tendon in his finger. De'Aaron Fox also had a torn tendon in his finger that Shams reported on that he had in training camp and played through it in Sacramento and here in San Antonio. His incentive was maybe a little bit different because if you remember, everybody, he did not sign his extension with the Sacramento Kings in the offseason. He wanted to see how things were going to play out with the Kings, their season, and see if he decided he wanted to stay, and the fact that he was a big Mike Brown fan, where rumblings had already started to appear that he may not last there as the head coach of the Kings. He gets fired after about 10 games, or what it seemed like, and Fox was upset about it. The season is just kind of right there hovering 500, over, under 500 for the Sacramento Kings. He decided he wanted out. So for him, there was some incentive to play for the mere fact that they were still technically in the mix for a play-in spot and, for the Sacramento Kings. And then when things started to go the other way for him in his mind with them, he decided to ask for that trade request as they got to the trade deadline. So the incentive was there. And then when Wembanyama gets hurt with the San Antonio Spurs, they're done. They have no chance of making any push in the postseason should the Spurs get there. And that was the incentive there for De'Aaron Fox in that particular case. For Paul George, after a while, he had the torn tendon, but then he had the groin injury. He was already nursing and still playing through that while not wrapped up anymore on that knee with that bone bruise that he had twice in a span of a month. He had a bone bruise in his knee, and he kept playing through it.
It's been banged up.
So it's some real stuff. Now, while we got on him, you're out there, you play, But as we talk about simply shutting a player down, you shut him down, and he could have gotten shut down a little bit earlier. But hey, take as long as you need, Sixers, to announce that you need to shut him down, because we see the plan. We see the plan. We see the vision, because we saw the vision before you did. You were a little late. Nice to have you aboard.
Devon, I'm distracted. The chat right now.
I saw you looking at the chat and laughing and waiting.
I mean, people, there's multiple Golden Girls in there. There's a character from Dexter
in there. Blanche in there early. We got Dexter characters?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't see that.
James Stokes. Hey, look, man, whatever gets us through the night, I'm cool with that.
See Rose is in there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, man, it's great. This is great.
Just getting ready to watch some hoops, the Golden Girls on a Friday night, right?
That's right, man. Instead of your reruns, let's watch some hoops.
Might be a little bit past their bedtime, but, you know.
Well, 7 o'clock is good. They can bail out in a little bit. But, all right, man, I mean, look, just to move on to Oshae Brissett, played 11 games for the Nets G League team, averaging about, 15-5 or 11-5, somewhere around there. Oshae Brissett was averaging for the 76ers, as I take a quick peek at his 10-day contract that he signed, 12 and 5.5, 1 steals per game, has scored a season-high 20 on 6 of 8 shooting in his most recent game on March 13th against the Memphis Hustle, did Oshae Brissett. Richie is in here as a 5-year vet, most notably with the Indiana Pacers, the Toronto Raptors, the Boston Celtics in his NBA career. He comes in on a 10-day contract, and as soon as I saw this announced earlier, it was like, oh, we know what's happening. You know what's happening. So good on the Sixers. Good luck to Oshae Brissett. Maybe we'll see more than one 10-day contract player come in and out, and maybe he stays for the remainder of the year. Maybe they take a look at Dakota Mathias, bring him back for good time's sake, and see what happens. But Oshae Brissett in the mix now, Rich.
Yeah, athletic wing.
Yeah,
not
experience.
Not a great shooter, which is why he was available. But athletic wing. I believe he was on Boston's team when they won the title last year. But the big thing that I would say with Brissett, and what will come in handy tonight, I imagine, is that he started his career playing for the Toronto Raptors, and Nick Nurse understands how Nick Nurse wants to, have all of his schemes. Although, in fairness, the Sixers really aren't executing those schemes that well on the defensive end. But yeah, I think that is a good guy to pluck off the available wire. I will put it that way, and just plug him in the game, because I think he's going to play a lot of minutes tonight, in the same way that I remember during the process years, it was a lot of point guards would come in, and it was the Brett Brown, shake your hand and throw him in the game. There's a couple, like Larry Drew was one I remember. Tim Frazier was another. Tim Frazier,
Penn State,
stuck around for a little bit, played for the Pelicans for a little while. But yeah, they would sign a lot of these guys to 10 days and just throw them in the game right away. And Brett would basically be like, I'd be like, how can you play these guys? He'd be like, yeah, we have like 4 plays right now, so it's fine. They can figure it out pretty quickly. Yep. I just tell them to run, basically. We're not going to win the game anyway, so that's whatever. Oshae Brissett is going to be in that same situation tonight. But yeah, that's not a bad guy to have. Good, very good athlete.
He is a really good athlete. Decent defender, which has been his calling card as an athletic wing to go out there and defend. You're going to need it with this team, because they cannot defend, Rich, as you just alluded to. So when you talk about a team in the Indiana Pacers who average around 116 points, top 10 in the league in scoring, you're gonna need this. And look, he knows the Indiana Pacers. Not gonna stop him from stopping them.
No,
but he knows the Pacers.
Okay, the one thing I will say tonight, and this is not positivity. Let's get that right away. That's not like the Sixers are gonna win this game, but when the Sixers have played Indiana over the past few years and Embiid has been available, you don't know what type of game it is, because on the one hand, Joel would score very easily in the half court against that team. He would just overpower a lot of those guys. But it would be a tough game, because they would run him up and down the court. We know that PG does not want to play fast at this point. At least they mostly have young guys here that I think will be willing to run up and down the court with the Indiana Pacers, who are playing a little bit slower this year than they did in past years. Did you see, by the way, the play that they ran the other night to get Haliburton the winning 4-point play?
As they called it, the football play.
It was a football play, right? They kind of ran a crossing route. They ran a pick play, and Haliburton makes a shot in the corner.
Did he make that?
Yeah,
pretty
crazy shot. Giannis right, like all over him, way too close to him. He fouls him on the shot, but that was pretty sick.
That was dope.
That was pretty cool.
That was dope.
Yeah.
And the Pacers have been playing some really good basketball. They moved back into the top 6 of the Eastern Conference standings. Some really fun stuff there from them.
I don't think they're going to need that play tonight.
Nah, I don't think so. Nah.
I mean, they can run it, but I don't think it's going to be to win the game.
Nah, they probably won't have to lean on that one. If they do, shame on the Pacers for taking your foot off the gas and not understanding what the assignment is. To get yourself some rest. I don't know what their schedule is, but if they play tomorrow or something like that, get done with these guys through 3 quarters.
They do play tomorrow. There
you go, right? So you're trying to make quick work of this Sixers team so you can get your starters some rest. So, again, be careful when you make your wagers tonight. We'll get to our Bet365 segment in just a bit here. So, everybody.
At Milwaukee, and they're jockeying for the 4 seed.
And they just beat them.
They just beat them, too.
And that way that they did. So, yeah, you would expect that you're going to see some quick hooks, some low minutes tonight, you would think, for Rick Carlisle's starters in his 8-man rotation tonight against the Sixers, unless they have something up their sleeve. And as you said, Rich, sometimes you just throw players out there, you throw guys out there, they don't get tired. They have all this energy.
Ricky's not going to get tired.
The stamina, right? They're fine. They're all good. You might give up some defensive plays because that's how it goes. But offensively, even when you're tired, you know how it is. You always regain that energy. You know how you play the video game and your bar is getting low there on the video game because you're tired, but when you're on the offensive end, it just spikes right back up. You're good to go. That's what's going to happen tonight for the Philadelphia 76ers, potentially against this Indiana Pacers team. So before we get to the starting lineup and the pregame picks, we got to tell you, I was on the Philly show a little bit earlier. Rich was on the Philly show with Jamie earlier in the week. And I want to tell everybody, because I did not do it earlier, I want to remind everybody, with now less than 2 weeks away from opening day, when the games return to Philadelphia, though, it's time for the official PHLY tailgate, the best in the city, Monday, March 31st, 11 a.m., 700 Pattinson Avenue, Phillies Cavs tailgate. And I got to tell you about my man, Kavanaugh. He's the best. I used to do some shows down there by the arena in the sports complex, and the Kavanaugh folks, the family, they would be the caterers for it.
Sure.
Let me tell you, the prime rib sliders, fantastic. Okay, fantastic. The Italian sausage, heard you talking about it on the earlier show in the week.
Love it.
When you get to the ballpark, the Italian sausage, Kavanaugh's, Bob, love it. Love Bob Kavanaugh and the Kavanaugh family. So make sure you go out to the official PHLY tailgate, the best in the city. It's going to be at 700 Pattinson Avenue on March 31st, beginning at 11 a.m. And I love the PHLY team, obviously, with Tyler and everybody. And I certainly love the Kavanaughs. I will be down there because I want to get some grub.
Sure.
From Bob and the Kavanaughs and make sure I get some of the food. Trust me. The food is fantastic. All right. By the way, me and D Gunn, we were doing the show at that time, right? So we would argue.
D Gunn loves grilling.
Exactly. So he actually posted something earlier about him grilling because the weather has changed a little bit, even though he grills in the winter. So I put barbecue sauce because it's available on the table, right?
On what?
On the prime rib.
Okay.
Right? And D Gunn was like, you don't put barbecue sauce on the steak. I'm like, D Gunn, it's grilled and it's on the table. I'm allowed, if I want, to put it on my sandwich.
What is he saying? You can only put A1 on there?
You can only put anything else, like not necessarily mustard or ketchup or anything, but you can't put barbecue sauce on the prime rib.
Oh, I think that's
okay.
And
I argued with him.
I think that's okay.
Oh, we had like a 20-minute argument on the air about this.
I think that's okay.
Oh, I agree. Me and D Gunn went at it. Always good times. It was always fun to be having those discussions with D Gunn.
He feels very particular because he spends so much time on that grill.
Yes, he does. But make sure you go try it yourself at the tailgate for the PHLY official tailgate for the PHLY Phillies podcast. All right, Bree, let's get to the starters because this is number 42, if I'm correct.
There's no way this has been a starting lineup before.
Well, no. Yeah, but I just wanted to make sure the number was correct. And I am 42. 42. This is the 42nd starting lineup for Nick Nurse this season.
Oh, man.
Let's give it to him.
They had to dig deep into the pictures.
Adem Bona. Is this like his first start? Or is this his second start? I have to check. Adem Bona in the front court with Yabusele and Ricky Council in the backcourt. 2 point guards that are scoring guards. Jeff Doughton and Jared Butler. One, who will lead the team in scoring?
I think it's going to be either. Look, it could be like one of like 4 or 5 names. I think
that's why I'm asking.
I think it's going to be Butler.
All right. Who leads the team in shot attempts?
Also, I think that's going to be Butler. That's why I think he's gonna have it. But could Yabu lead the team in scoring? Yes. Could Ricky lead the team in scoring?
100%.
Yes. Could Doughton lead? The
only one
again off
Bona
the game
can't.
Off the game the other night. Bona cannot.
He can lead them in rebounding, but he cannot lead them in scoring.
And then when you look at the other 3 guys, I'd be surprised if any of the other 3 guys. Maybe Alex Reese makes a bunch of threes, but I would think the 4 guys on that starting lineup besides Bona are going to have most of the points in tonight's game.
I would agree with that.
They better.
I would agree with that. Ricky's gonna. I don't know what Ricky's field goal attempts, the highest in his field goal attempts, are. By the way, this is Bona's second start. They're 0-1 when he starts at the 5. That's not a knock on him.
No.
But started the 5 once with Maxey, Gordon, Council, and Oubre. That was the 26th starting lineup at that particular point of the season. But Ricky Council, I say Ricky or Jared Butler will be the leading scorer tonight. Jeff Doughton is like a real strong favorite to do that. But I think I'm in agreement with you because the ball's going to be in Jared Butler's hand a lot.
And I don't think Jared Butler's going to have a ton of guys to he'll have other options to pass to. They're just not the greatest options. And Jared Butler likes to get some shots up.
I said to you, Derek, Kyle, and Bree before, he will look Joel Embiid off.
Yes.
So he is going to look off these guys here tonight without question.
100%.
Let's get to our Bet365 pick segment brought to you by Bet365. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary. This is not ordinary tonight at Bet365. Rich, I went with 3 tonight. So right out of the chute, I'm going to tell you tonight, 30% on a 3+ leg parlay at Bet365 if you decide to tail mine or go elsewhere and put together your own. So Bet365, 3-leg parlay, 30% boosted at Bet365. Rich, what do you think of this one here tonight?
Oh, I like this one.
The spread for the game is Pacers by 13.
Okay.
Even if they sit in the fourth quarter, I think they have a really good shot.
That's about as big as it gets, but yeah.
I thought it was going to be like 17.
It doesn't usually get that
It doesn't
high.
unless it's really, really bad.
But I think you're on the right side of it.
Yeah. So there's that. 13. Jared Butler, 16.5.
Again, I said I thought he was going to lead the team in scoring, so.
We're like-minded because I had put this together earlier.
Absolutely.
There you go. And a throwback to since the game calls for a rebuild Sixers from the season of 2014, 2015. TJ McConnell in there.
He knows what it's like to be on the other side of these games.
He's going to get a lot of run tonight, man. Over 5.5 assists. I said, hammer it. Hammer it.
The only thing that's going to get in your way there is if the Sixers don't provide enough resistance where he doesn't have to pass the ball.
That's very true. And he just scores. Yeah, he just scores.
And he's getting in. It was pull-up game.
I think he's going to look for a lot of Obi Toppin alley-oops,
Sure.
Stuff like that.
They'll be available.
Yeah, he will be available. Those will be available. And that is available for you at Bet365. If you would like to take advantage of that one, go ahead and do so. Once again, make sure you do so by signing up. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. By the way, I think that was a plus 600 on Bet365.
It's a big one.
That's a big one.
Well play.
Let's see what we do tonight. Bree, did you hit on yours the other day when I was out? Did Bet and Bree hit?
We did not hit.
Bet and Bree did not hit.
bad.
You got the Quentin Grimes piece, right? Because
I think he only went 2 threes. I think he needed one more 3.
but he scored the 20 plus.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That was it.
All right. Well, go ahead. Let's all redeem ourselves tonight. Let's see if the Sixers cooperate in this one. Rich, how's this one going to go tonight?
I think this is going to be a loss, Devon.
All right. That'll do it for us, everybody. Thank you as always. AA Ron says, pound the over. Pound the over, AA Ron. Everybody, we'll be back after the game. This is what we have asked for. Let's see what happens. They were down by 50 to the Bulls a few weeks ago. Let's see what happens tonight. I don't think it's going to be 50.
Let's hope the three-point shooting is good.
I actually don't think it's going to be 50, but this should get interesting with the 42nd different starting lineup and only 8 available players, one of which is a 10-day contract guy, and the second is a two-way guy who has been in G League for a week. Let's see what they do tonight. We'll be back after the game to hang out with you and discuss it all, check in with the guys from the arena, and it's all presented by Bet365. Enjoy the game.
We all silly like the mayor.